Hi guys, my name is Brianna. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some old-fashioned old lady girl names that start with the letter A. So on my channel, I talk about baby names and I try to provide you guys with some baby name lists to give you inspiration and ideas to help you name your babies. So if you're a pregnant mom or if you just love baby names, then please subscribe to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to cover 16 old-fashioned vintage girl names that start with the letter A. I'll tell you if these names are currently ranked in the top 1,000 most popular names for girls from the year 2018, which is the most current data that we have. And I'm also going to share some charts that show how the popularity of these names has changed in the last 140 years and how it compares to other names. So it's going to be a little bit of a nerdy video, just a warning. So why choose an old-fashioned name? So a lot of people like old-fashioned names because either they want to honor a loved one by naming their child after them, and it can be very special for the child to know that they were named after their grandma or their great-grandma, or they just like looking through their family tree and picking a name from their family tree so they can pass on, part of their unique heritage to their child. Other people might choose an old-fashioned name because they don't like the current naming trend, which has a heavy emphasis on, unique spellings, kind of interesting alternative spellings, and kind of a lot of made-up sounding names. So if you prefer like a more traditional name, then an old-fashioned name might be the way to go. So names have always gone through cycles of use. So some of the most popular names today are old-fashioned names that have seen a comeback. And those names include Emma, Charlotte, Amelia, Evelyn, Grace, Eleanor, Stella, Violet, and Hazel. So I'm going to throw a chart up on the screen to show you guys how the popularity of these names has changed in the past 140 years. So most of these names first peaked in popularity around 1920. As you can see, the first big kind of humps on the chart was around 1920. On the left side, on the vertical axis, you can see that the number of girls given a name in that year. So the bottom number is 5,000, the top number is 25,000. So these are all pretty popular names. And most of them had a comeback around 80 to 100 years after the name originally became quite popular. So most of the time, names don't come back into style within 80 years of the time when they originally peaked in popularity. Because once a name gets really popular for like a few years or a few decades, it carries like a strong association with that time period, and it has like a certain vibe about it. So names give social information about a person. So it's very hard to imagine a baby Karen because Karen isn't really a popular name right now. Karen was a popular name around the 1950s or so. So to give you some examples of names associated with a certain era, the name Jennifer was a 70s and 80s name. So most of us, if we know Jennifers, they're 30 to 50 years old because that's when that name was super popular. Ashley was an 80s and 90s name. I know several Ashleys that are, between 20 and 40 years old because that's when that name was super popular. The name Linda was extremely popular from the years 1945 to 1965. There were over 1 million girls named Linda just in that time period. So most Lindas now are 55 to 75 years old. I have a theory about why certain names have a comeback and when they do. First, not all names have a comeback because some names just, they don't sound like modern enough for us to have a comeback. Like Mildred, it sounds like mildew, so it's like, it's not probably gonna have a comeback because it doesn't sound cute anymore to us. But beyond that, I think that once a name gets old enough, then we think of it differently. Like the boomer names, they get picked on a lot. Like Karen is like a joke in a lot of memes and stuff. The name Susan and Sharon also get picked on a lot in memes. But once the name gets like even older, we think of it differently because we don't know that many people with that name. And the people that we did know with that name are usually like really, really old, or they're, they've already passed on. So the names are not commonplace anymore. And old people are like really cute, and it's really hard to pick on old people. It's easy for us to pick on like middle-aged people, or 50s and 60s aged people, but it's very hard to pick on someone that's like 90 years old, because they're just like cute and wrinkly, and you can't really think bad of them because they're just old. So the names that I showed you before that have had a comeback, those are all older names, like 80 to 100 years old. And most boomer names are probably not going to have a comeback for at least another 25 years or so. Not to say that you can't use those names if you like them. So like if you have a grandma named Patricia and you love the name Patricia, then of course just name your daughter Patricia. I'm not saying like just because the name is normally associated with a certain time period that it's bad or anything like that. I know a lot of people don't even think about these things or don't even care about these things. So yeah, it's just interesting information to know, like how a person is going to perceive that, or how most people are going to perceive the name, if you care about those types of things. So all that to say that the names that I included in this video peaked in popularity around 1910s to 1930s. So these are like really old lady names. So the first name on the list is the name Annie, and I really had to include this name because it was very popular in the 1920s, and I really wanted to point out that the vintage trend of using the IE ending. So in a lot of the names from that time period, you see the IE ending, like sort of a nickname style, like Nellie, Carrie, Bessie, Hattie. Those types of names were very popular, and you don't really see those very often anymore. Even when we do use a sort of nickname ending, a lot of times we use the Y ending instead of the IE ending. So if you're going for like a more vintage style, then using the IE ending is would be one way to kind of do that. And like the name Anna, Annie means grace. But unlike Anna, the name Annie hasn't been extremely popular like forever. Like Anna hasn't really left the top 100 list, except for maybe a few years in the last century. Whereas Annie dropped off the top 100 list in 1940s and hasn't really come back. So it was ranked 308, and there were 1,080 girls given the name in 2018. So it's not extremely unpopular or anything right now, but definitely less popular than it used to be. So when I think of the name Annie, I think of like a Little Orphan Annie, of course. So I think of it as a playful and spunky name. And also Annie Oakley, who was a sharpshooter who toured in the Buffalo Bills Wild West show. So I think it's sort of a tomboy sounding name, and I do think it's really cute. So I thought it'd be interesting to point out that the name Anna, which is the lighter red color, and the name Annie both peaked in 1920s, but the name Anna has stayed kind of more popular. Like it never dropped under 4,000 babies per year, and then it peaked again in 2000. And then the nicknames, or the names Anne with an E and without an E, the green and blue lines, also have stayed more popular and peaked again in the 1950s, whereas the nickname style Annie peaked in 1920s and then completely dropped off and is still fairly unpopular. So the next on my list is 4 names that were, again, very popular in the 1920s. And the first one is Ada. So Ada is a German name that means noble, and it can be used as a nickname for Adelaide, but it is also a name on its own. And it has been slowly gaining traction for the past few years, and it was ranked 251 in 2018, and there were 1,288 girls given that name. So I think of Ada as a very classic, iconic name. It's very pretty, and I'm not surprised it's popular. It's sort of similar to sounding to the name Ava, which is very popular. So it would be a good alternative if you want to avoid Ava, because if you think Ava is too popular to be used. And next is the name Agnes. Agnes means chaste, and it's of Greek origin. So I really love this name Agnes. I think I first heard of it in the musical called Meet Me in St. Louis, where Agnes is one of the younger daughters in this family. And I really love that movie, and it's like, it makes me think of like sweet, happy, wholesome, like Christmas movie. So I think that Agnes carries that sort of a meaning for me, and I think that chaste is sort of falls into that as well, the meaning. And the movie Despicable Me recently came out a few years ago, and the littlest girl in that movie is named Agnes, and she's like extremely adorable. She's like the little one that you just want to like squish her little cheeks, and she's super cute. So I think that now this name will definitely have a comeback, because parents can kind of visualize it on a little kid again. So it's gonna get, I don't know, I definitely see this name making a big comeback. It's a really cute name, so I hope it does. Next is the name Alma, which is a name of Latin origin, and it means nurturing. So Alma is also the word for soul in Spanish, and it was ranked 645. Oh, I forgot to say that Agnes is not ranked at all right now. But Alma is ranked 645, and there were 455 girls given this name in 2018. So I think Alma is a pretty name. It kind of feels like a deep, I don't know, spiritual name, maybe because of the meaning, the Spanish meaning soul and the meaning nurturing. So I think of Alma as sort of like I don't know, a strong woman, like motherly woman. I don't know, that's the vibe it has for me, but it is a very pretty name, so that's one to consider. And then the name Alberta, which means noble and bright, and it is a feminine form of the name Albert. And I think the nickname Birdie is super cute, and it really fits with the vintage naming trend. So if you did choose the name Alberta, you could use another adorable vintage name, which is Birdie, as the nickname, which would be super cute. I'd love to see someone name their baby Alberta. I don't know if it's gonna have a huge comeback, but I think it would be really adorable. It's kind of an offbeat name, I think, kind of cool and playful, so yeah. And I'm gonna throw the chart up for these 4 names. And as you can see, the tallest yellow spike there was Agnes. It peaked in 1925, and there were 5,000 girls that year given that name. And then the green, light green, dark green, and red, they all peaked around the same time. And the name Ada, as you can see, is having a comeback already. And the name Alma, you know, stayed more steady and didn't, you know, drop off completely off the map there from like the 70s till now, like the other names did. And so the next group of names that I've included are names that they were not super popular vintage names. So these are names that just made a brief appearance on the charts. A few of them only appeared for 1 year on the charts, and a few of them, you know, appeared for a little bit of a longer time period. So next is the name Adelaide, which is a name that means nobility, and it's of German origin. And Adelaide has already begun to have a little bit of a comeback. There were 1,111 girls given this name in 2018, which put it at number 298 on the top most popular girls' names. And Adelaide is a city in Australia, so it's also a place name. And I think that this name is very pretty. I think it's like a princess name. I think of like tea parties and lemonade, pink lemonade. I think because Adelaide rhymes with lemonade, I just have this association with like really girly, I don't know, tea party princess girl with this name. Of course, you never know what your baby's actually going to turn out like, but I think this name is a very pretty name. So next is the name Adelia, which is another form of the name Adele or Adelaide, meaning noble. And this name was not ranked in 2018. I think it's a very pretty name. It sounds very classic, very formal. I could definitely see this, on an adult, on a resume. So what do you guys think? So next is the name Addie, spelled Addie. And this is another name that fits into that trend of the nickname style ending in IE. Well, I call them nicknames. They're not nicknames, they're real names, but they may have originally been nicknames. So it could be short for the name Adelaide, but meaning nobility. And right now there are several popular names that you can get the nickname Addie from, like Addison, but it hasn't seen popularity by itself. Like, you don't see parents naming their kid just Addie, like for a very long time. So it's not currently ranked. I think it's very modern sounding. I think it's very playful and youthful, and I could definitely see this on a little tomboy girl. Next is the name Alida, which is another variation of Adele or Adelaide, meaning noble. And I think this one is very pretty and feminine. So what do you guys think of that one? So next is the name Augustine, which is a variation of the Latin name Augustus, meaning great. And it has been used for boys and girls. Historically, it has been used a little bit more for boys than girls. So this would fall into the trend of a unisex name, a gender neutral name, or a boy name on girl, which is a popular trend right now. But I think since it has the teen ending, which is similar to like Christine and Justine, I think it sounds very feminine. I think it works equally well for a boy or a girl. I really love the nickname Augie. I haven't ever seen that on a girl, but I can't imagine using it for a girl, but it definitely sounds a little more boyish. So I don't know. It depends on if you like that trend of using a boyish sounding name for girls. So next is the name Arietta, which is absolutely a gorgeous name. I fell in love with this name as soon as I heard it. I love the Etta ending. It's a very vintage sounding ending, like the name Henrietta. So I think this name is absolutely so pretty. It means little aria. So aria is a musical term in Italian that I believe it's Italian. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but it means a musical solo, like in an opera when they would have a musical solo. It would be called an aria, and so arietta means a short musical solo. So it's a very pretty musical associated name. I can imagine a family full of like musicians, and they all have music names like Lyric and Melody and Arietta. I think that would be so gorgeous. You can use the nickname Aria, Ria, Etta, Eddie, so it has a ton of nickname potential. Super, super cute. It's not ranked at all. It's very modern sounding, very pretty, completely overlooked. So I definitely see this as a great, rare, vintage, unique baby name. So next is the name Agatha, which I don't know why, but a lot of people don't like this name. I think it's so pretty. It doesn't have a bad association in my mind at all. It is a name of Greek origin, and it means good. And to me, it's just a classic, strong, pretty girl name. I don't know why people think maybe I'm ruining the association for you guys, but I hope not, because I really do like this name. I think it's very, very pretty. I'm not going to use it because I probably could convince my partner anyway, but I just think it's really, really pretty. I'd love to see a baby named Agatha. So next is the name Ardith. Now this name, I was really trying to get to the bottom of this name on what it actually means. It only popped up on the charts like very, very briefly, so it's definitely not, it was never a super common name even back in those times. But I found several different sources saying that it means blooming fields, and it's a Hebrew name or variation of a Hebrew name. And I also found a source saying that it was an old Swedish name meaning spiritual prosperity. So it's possible that it means that both of those are true. I'm not going to 100% guarantee that those are true, but either way, those are really gorgeous meanings. So I think I like the name just because of that. I think those are beautiful, beautiful meanings. And regardless, I think the name Ardith is very, very pretty. I love the ending. The ith ending sounds very vintage, like Judith and Edith. So I think it's very, very pretty, and it also sounds kind of modern, like you know, Arden or Arlo, which are popular names right now. So I think this one, I could definitely see this name gaining popularity, and I think of it as like a naturey, whimsical, boho. So I don't know. I think it's very pretty. What do you guys think? And next is the name Alva, which is a name of Swedish/Norwegian background, and it means elf. It's not currently ranked, and I think this is super adorable name, Alva. It's sort of like, has a fairy tale vibe. It's sort of like a little graceful baby elf. I think it's super, super cute. So next is the name Azalee, which is super cute. It's not currently ranked, and it means singer in Nigerian. At least that's the information that Google provided for me. It also could be a variation of Azalea, which is a flower name. And I think this name is very, very pretty, very feminine, and it's super on trend with the Z and the Lee ending, which are two popular trends right now. And it's a floral name, so in the other meaning, singer is also super cute. So I definitely see this as something that would really appeal to modern parents. And next is the name Almira, which is a name possibly of Bosnian origin, meaning princess. It's not currently ranked. I think Mira would be a super cute nickname for it. And I just think this name is very romantic and exotic. And this chart shows all the last names that I covered. I know you can't see super well the names as they're pretty crowded, but I don't think that's the most important thing. I just wanted to point out was these two names here at the top. The purple one is the name Addie, so you can see it peaked here at just over 800 babies per year, and then it popped up again in the year like 2003 or something like that. And then the other one, the yellow line, that's Adelaide. So it's actually more popular now than it was back in 1920s, but it's still not super popular. The 1,000 babies per year is not extremely popular. And the rest of these names down here are crowded down together. They're just, you know, similar in rank, and a few of them only popped up there for a year or two, so you can't really hardly see them. But yeah. So I actually saved a couple of my absolute favoriteest vintage baby girl names that start with the letter A for my next video, because my next video is going to be all of my favorite girl names that start with the letter A, and I wanted them to be names that I hadn't covered yet, because I've been doing the girl A name focus for a while now, and I wanted to make this list to all different names and names that I've had in my other lists and my other videos. So I saved a couple of names that were my absolute favorite. I'm also going to tell you my number one name for a girl right now, but which is an A name, which my partner and I had agreed on that we would use for a girl. So if you would like to find out that, you can watch our next video. And I'd love to know what your favorite name is from this list, and have you seen any of these names on like a little kid? I'm very, very curious. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Bye bye.